Hello and welcome to another AIC Productions video. Today I'm going to be doing a follow-up video on my Xiaomi Mi A2 Lite Android One phone. So I've had this phone now about 2 months or so, and in a lot of ways I've really enjoyed this phone, and I wanted to talk about some positives and some negatives about the phone. So here's the phone that I have, and I got the one that's blue. So it came in 3 colors. It came in black, rose, gold, and blue. I picked the blue. I paid a couple extra dollars to have the blue over the black. I think it's a much nicer looking phone. Anymore, it's hard to get a phone that looks nice. All these phones look exactly the same since iPhones came out a number of years ago. So, what, 12 years ago now? And so it was nice to have a phone that kind of stood out a little bit. It was a nice color. But yeah, it was kind of sad because this is the silicone case that comes with it, but it's not really very sturdy. It's just barely on there, and I found that in my pocket and stuff it would come off fairly easily, and so I ended up going with a little bit beefier of a case, which covers up all the blue. So I got this one because when I'm on my skateboard, I just cut my nails. When I'm on my skateboard, it makes it easy to hold the phone and not worry about dropping it. It's been a really good phone. The storage on it is great. It has 64 gigs of storage, and so it holds everything I ever needed to hold. I've wiped the phone, but I had all my music on here, took pictures, videos, and I never once worried about running out of space. 64 gigs of internal storage is great. I've had phones in the past that had 8 and 16 gigs of storage, and the problem with that is the OS takes up like 6.5 gigs of storage. So if you have an 8 gig phone, you basically have no storage for anything, and by default everything wants to install this internal storage, even if you have an SD card, and it's a real pain to go through every single app and switch it to the SD card, and then oftentimes when it updates it will move back to the internal storage. Had that a problem a lot with, I want to say it was an Audible app, and then Audible also wanted to download all the books to the internal storage and not the SD card, and every time the app updated and I went to download a new book, I had the same problem. So definitely going with more storage is a great idea on these phones, even though this one does have right here, it has a dual SIM and an expandable SD card. Really easy to get at that. Let me grab the little, it comes with the thing that you need. A little tool that you need to do that with. This little push pin thing here. Helps it out. You can have the dual SIMs, SIM 1, SIM 2, and your micro SD card reader. So I like how the phone feels. It's quite a sturdy phone. It has a really big 4,000 milliamp hour battery, so the battery lasts forever on it. It gives it a nice weight. The construction feels really nice. So the back is metal. This upper and lower part are plastic, but that's just it is very minor and doesn't detract from the phone or the feel of the phone at all in any way. Love the construction of the phone. The weight of the phone makes it feel very premium. The screen is gorgeous on it. It is a really nice resolution. It's really clear. It gets really bright as well. I have really bright lights on, so the camera's compensating a bit for the brightness of the screen, but it's really bright. It's a really nice screen. Love the screen. The audio on it gets pretty loud. We'll talk about the audio in a bit. The controls for power and the volume rocker, I do wish the volume rocker was 2 separate buttons versus just the bar, and I wish the power and volume were a little bit further separated. If this was moved up just a little bit and this was moved down, power is probably in a good position, so if the volume was moved up just a little bit to give this space a little bit bigger, because I'd often find myself wanting to turn down the volume and I'd accidentally hit the power button by accident, even while I was pushing on the volume when it was in the case. So I go to push on the volume and the case had enough pressure to hit the power button. And normally wouldn't be a big deal, but if you hit the power button twice, it loads the camera. So you'd be going to turn down the volume, and then whatever you're listening to pauses because you accidentally turned on your camera, even though you don't actually push the power button. So, and that I noticed that more with the more heavy-duty case. Pushing on the volume rocker also pushed on the power button just enough to sense it to turn on the camera. So, and I'm sure that's a feature you can turn off. I just didn't. I am actually going to be getting rid of this phone. So I've had it for 2 months. I've really enjoyed it, but it has a couple of major flaws, really one major flaw that prevent me from keeping this phone, and that is this phone does not support Wi-Fi calling, at least not on T-Mobile. So where I live in the Phoenix area, but I live kind of on the borders of Phoenix, and inside my house I get terrible service. Doesn't matter what phone I have, what carrier I'm on, for whatever reason, inside my house and in my backyard, I get terrible service. Once I go out in the front yard or leave my neighborhood, I get great service. So when I'm out and about, I'm at work, everything like that, this phone works great. But in my house, because it doesn't have Wi-Fi calling, I have missed a lot of calls to the point where I think I might have even lost a job opportunity because of that. So, missing calls, not a good thing at my house. I work from home a lot, and I need a business phone to work the way it should, and receive phone calls. So that was a major flaw that is having me get rid of the phone. The other issue I have with it is the speaker. Now, it gets very loud, but it loses audio quality pretty quickly in the volume range. Once you go much above halfway on the volume, it does get louder, but it becomes a lot poorer quality. And so it isn't a great phone for listening to music or audiobooks, which I do a lot of. Like if I'm working here in my office or I'm working outside, I'll just have this playing near me while I'm working. So, and it just doesn't do a very good job with that. Call quality itself is great. The speaker that you put on your ear sounds good. People hear me just fine, hear me clearly. I hear them clearly. With my last phone, my wife struggled to understand me. That phone was a couple years old and I dropped it a bunch, and so the microphone on it had gotten a bit flaky. But this phone never had a problem with understanding people or having people understand me. It really comes down to the issue for me is that lack of Wi-Fi calling, at least on the T-Mobile. I don't know if it works on AT&T or not, but it is not supported by this phone. It is missing a few bands on T-Mobile, which would have been nice. I think I would have gotten a little bit better coverage at my house had I had those. But even with other phones I've had, the Wi-Fi calling is a necessity. So anyways, I will be getting rid of this phone. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the next little bit. I'll do my best to answer those, but I will be putting this up on eBay in the next couple days. So there is that. Again, great phone. If you need Wi-Fi calling, it just doesn't have it and it won't work for you. But if you live in an area with great service, it's a great phone and a great price. This was, I want to say I paid $270, $280 for this phone. It is a great phone at a great price. About my only other real complaint is because it's an international version, this is the charger for it. And obviously this doesn't work in American plugs. So it came with a cheap adapter that broke like literally day one, and so I haven't been able to use this adapter. So anyways, if Xiaomi were to come out with a phone that supported more of the T-Mobile bands and had the ability for Wi-Fi calling, I would not hesitate to buy that phone at all. This has been a great phone. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.